Alright, so who's going up against the Brug? It was either going to be Kush or DJ today.
I reckon it actually should be Kush, because I've debated every single one.
Have you?
Yep.
No.
Oh yeah, because the first one was Kush versus DJ, yeah. Alright, Kush, you happy to go?
Yeah, sure. Not really doing all that much anyways.
And did we want to talk about the new scoring system idea, or do we just want to keep it 1 point either way?
We'll just keep it 1 point. That's something that we'll discuss as a group later.
Okay.
We may as well just, you know, have our shit working for now and then, yeah. Plus, we only have, like, 2 voters.
So, DJ, are you going to be able to set that stream back up?
I've already got it going, so I'm just waiting a couple of minutes just to check on my phone to make sure it's working, but
yeah,
there's that error message that always pops up when the stream stops unexpectedly.
I was just thinking I might be able to up the gain on my microphone.
Oh, that'd be amazing, if you don't mind.
Yeah, through the quick menu and then sounds and devices. Adjust microphone level.
So just doing a little bit of a.
Also, I will give you the heads up. I don't know what you have for a headset. I've got like Turtle Beaches, but if I need my mic to be louder, which generally I don't, I can plug it into my controller, and for some reason it's louder off the controller than just through the port itself.
I'm actually gain through control.
Ah, okay.
Gain turning a bit. How's that sounding for you?
That's better.
Perfect.
Okay.
I've got coffee in my system and no ganja. I got an unfair advantage. No, it's fucking guys.
Why do these people have to shoot into the sky for no reason? Stop littering!
Stop littering.
Actually, I kind of just... Oh, there's an enemy here. Hang on. Stop! He like looked at me, and when his eyes met with mine, that's when I shot him in the face. That's pretty nasty. We need to be in a quiet environment for this, DJ. I don't know that the old Toyota Corolla is going to do us quite that justice. Oh yeah, it's not too bad.
Well, then it's not a true Toyota Corolla. Them bitches
Yeah,
run
exactly.
loud. Fucking crazy. I love those things, man. Your music cut out.
Yeah, no, I'm testing it.
Ah, fair enough.
So it's LeBrug versus Kush. LeBrug, would you like to be known by a nickname for this episode at all?
LeBrug is fine.
LaBrug or LeBrug?
It's actually LeBrug, but I don't really care.
Oh, I just got it.
Oh, for goodness sake, DJ. Just when we're ready.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'll try not to do that again.
It's alright. Okay. Here we go. Hang on, I need some water. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Graz and Turtle's Gaming Yak Fest. Tonight, we are playing Would You Rather Royale yet again. Round 3 stars. Is it round 3? I think it's round 4, actually. Never mind.
4, yeah.
Round 4 stars LeBrug versus Kush Coffee and Games. Who will win? Who will impress DJ and myself the most as the adjudicators? We will find out now. Okay, guys, so we need some would you rather questions. DJ, has anyone in your stream commented recently?
I'm just about to go. I'm just going in there right now. I do know that I have one viewer.
Well, at least I don't have to dig them up this time.
Alright, here we go.
Okay, I've got a couple to get started on, and of course I'm being attacked by a badger in-game.
Oh, here's...
Alright, he's dead. Badger down. I'm just gonna go find a nice quiet spot to stand in. Here we go, edge of a cliff. Perfect. Alright. So, Lebrug, are you ready to play the game? Lebrug. Lebron. Lebruge.
As ready as one. I like the
Wonderful.
That's nice.
Lebruge. And Kush Coffee and Games. Are you ready?
I was born ready.
Excellent. So your first question starts now. Would you rather be able to see 10 minutes into your own future, or 10 minutes into the future of anyone but yourself? That question again is, would you rather be able to see 10 minutes into your own future, or 10 minutes into the future of anyone but yourself? And your time starts now.
When you say of anyone but yourself, do you mean you could just pick anyone at any moment in time and see their future?
Precisely.
I think I would go with being able to see someone else's future, to be honest.
You do have 30 seconds to decide. Alright, gentlemen, tell me your answers now. Lebug, we pretty much know yours already.
Yeah, it's good.
I'll dispute the other one just to make it interesting.
Okay. Now, DJ, you and I will need to keep count. Right. I have some fresh pen and paper before me.
Granted, I will say most of my answers will be comedic more than, you know, serious and logical, but I think that'll be a good
We
conflict
take serious,
between our,
logical,
debate styles
well-argued debate style and comedy all into account. So please. So gentle Kush? Gentle Kush. So Kush, what'll it be?
well, since he's taken the whole see other people's, I'll see my own.
Okay. So, who shall start? Let's go alphabetical. LeBron. No, wait, it's Kush.
Damn. Seems to me like you've ran too many people through the alphabet backwards, bro.
Alright. So,
Anyways, alright.
yeah,
so,
Kush,
I'm
you're up.
defending the idea that I'd like to see 10 minutes into my future. Now, my first point to make, DJ will really appreciate, and probably will maybe be on my side after this one, but with 10 minutes into your future, you could get into the pants of just about any woman. Because you can look into your future and be like, well, that didn't work, try out something else. Look into your future, well, that didn't work, try something else. Look into your future, and you're going home with her. You know what I mean? Like, you have potential there. Not only that, granted 10 minutes is really like a thin line to bear, but you could still manipulate stock markets. If you all of a sudden see 10 minutes from now, you're going to get a fucking call that says, by the way, you're now broke with all your stocks, well, you just sell them real quick. You know what I mean? Next, you have car accidents or any other type of accidents that might kill you. Generally speaking, 10 minutes is a reasonable amount of time to prevent that thing, especially if you see it coming. I mean, nuclear weapons or bombs or guns or stuff like that is a little bit trickier to dodge, but if you know exactly where the bullet's going to be 10 minutes ahead, that's a little bit easier. The bomb, not so much. Not only that, but work would be easier because you could legit, like, I'm kind of assuming that it's kind of like the movie with fucking, Nicolas Cage, where, like, he can project himself into the future, and then if he dies, it just snaps back 10 minutes earlier and then does it again kind of deal. With that sort of a vibe, you would theoretically be able to do shit in the future, gather information, snap back to 10 minutes in the past, and be ahead of the curve kind of deal, you know what I mean? At the very least, you could do silly shit like like win spelling bees or win other types of contests, because you could literally, in the alternate future that you're living for the 10 minutes, you walk up, punch a guy in the face, grab the answer sheet, and like, oh, so that's all the answers, and then you snap back 10 minutes and you've got them. Or video game, like fucking strategy games and shit like that. You could decimate people at StarCraft because you'd know their strategy 10 minutes in advance. There's a lot of opportunities to make a ridiculous amount of money and keep yourself safe just from having the ability to look a simple 10 minutes into the future. Especially if you have control of your body in that 10 minutes. If you're stuck in one spot for that 10 minutes, it's a little bit more restrictive and less on the nice side, but yeah. And I mean, that being said too, if you can really abuse that system, you could legit walk up to a chick, go honk honk on her tits, snap back 10 minutes and you're good. No sexual assault charge, no nothing. So you can walk into a girl's fucking change room and be like, hi ladies, get the shit kicked out of you, 10 minutes later snap back, no problems. The only thing that you would have to be constantly aware of and be like tedious about is replacing the watch in your battery so you didn't exceed that 10 minutes.
Fair enough. Alright,
your turn.
LeBrug, please pass the mic on to you.
Right, well, first off, I'd just like to put some counters to Kush. The idea is to be able to look into the future 10 minutes, not to be able to be in the future in 10 minutes. So about 50% of your argument is now completely and utterly invalid. Now, onto my argument.
I will counter, I did say this is assuming it's like Nicolas Cage's movie, where he could view into the future, but he was part of the future.
But that shows a complete lack of ability to understand the actual premise of the neutral question.
No, that's taking into account the fact that even though you can see into the future, you still exist in that future.
Anyway,
it's taking into account quantum entanglement.
Here's the advantage of being able to see into other people's futures. Being able to see into your own future is a very limited viewpoint because it's from a very narrow sort of point of view that it's only your future. However, if you're able to pick at any point in time another person and look 10 minutes into their future, not only are you looking into their future, you're also looking into your own future and how they're interacting with you, but you get the advantage of seeing from their point of view, therefore understanding their thoughts, processes, and their motives, which is something you won't get if you're only able to jump into your own future. So I think you actually have double your chances of getting into someone else's pants, be it female or male. I don't care what your preference is, because let's face it, this is an open universe. But you'll be able to understand what their reasons are, what their thoughts are, and then when you stand back, you know how to play to their strengths, no matter what the situation. There's my argument.
I will counter that by saying you're assuming that you understand what the person's mind thought. Like, just because you experience something in the same instance, just because you see it through their eyes, doesn't mean you understand what they're thinking. You're not occupying their brain, you're simply seeing the future through their eyes, which can provide you other perspectives, but it certainly doesn't mean that you could understand their mind state. I mean, if you were in 1942 and you looked through Hitler's eyes, you might understand what he's saying, you might understand what he's doing, but you definitely don't understand what is going through that guy's head, unless you have a similar mental capacity and a similar mental state.
However, because you're taking it from the other person's point of view, you get to see things from their point of view, things that you wouldn't see from your own point of view, and therefore gives you expanded abilities. But take into account, it's not just one person. You could step into anyone's future for 10 minutes, see their future, and then jump into someone else's, and then someone else's, and then someone else's. You put that all together, you have a bigger global picture of the future in 10 minutes time from the objective of multiple people.
Granted, I'd still much rather have my own fucking future. I mean, when it comes right down to it, you might be able to see a lot of other people's future, and that might be able to get you to affect certain things, but especially if we assume that it is based on quantum entanglement and the fact that you would still exist in that future, and you would still be acting in that future, then you have much more ability to manipulate people. And even if you can see into the future and you know you get caught if you take a left, you could become a crazy bank robber and instantly every fucking time get away because you know exactly where the cops are going to be waiting for you.
It's true.
You have more ability to affect your own life with the ability to see into your own future than to affect your own life by being able to see into other people's future. You might be able to acquire more knowledge, but knowledge and experience are different things, and if you can't apply the knowledge without having things backlash and bite you in the ass, then I still see that as a major deterrent to the seeing into other people's futures.
Let me tell you a little side story, just because obviously we're taking a bit of time with this. I, as a joke, did some palm reading for friends back in high school. Turns out I was rather good at it, true story. Problem was, the better I got at it, the more I realized I could see my own future in the other people's palm reading or whatever, and it freaked the shit out of me. I didn't want that. I don't want to know a scenario where I know I'm going to die and there's nothing I can do about it, no matter how many times I go into the future. That would be disturbingly scary. I'd rather not know that. I'd rather see it from another person's point of view.
But you only have to experience that horrible fucking crippling agony for 10 minutes and then it's over. If it was like you're viewing into the future like years, that's a totally different thing. If you know you're gonna get hit by a fucking, you know what I mean, like anything like that. But like I said too, many ways that you might die can be averted or avoided or, you know, all that shit within 10 minutes. You're gonna get shot because you're gonna get robbed, don't be in that location. You're gonna get hit by a car, don't be in that location. You're gonna get hurt at work, don't walk to that edge. You know what I mean? Unless it's a catastrophic event which would kill you anyways, and everybody around you, you have a much better chance of surviving that. And considering many people strive for immortality, it's not gonna get you immortality, but it is going to increase your lifespan. Plus, there's also the fact of how long are we able to see in the future, because as a teenager, being able to see into the future will definitely increase your chances of surviving.
I guess it comes down to a bit of personal preference. One thing I'd like to know is things that I may never have the opportunity to know because I wasn't there. If I could see someone else's future in 10 minutes and they're doing something that doesn't involve me, I get to see things I wouldn't see.
I will also say that there's probably a lot of those futures that you don't want to see. Like, how bad would it be if you fucking popped into your favorite fucking movie star's fucking head like Vin Diesel, not knowing that he was gay at the wrong fucking time?
That'd be bloody awesome. I'd love that.
No. Okay, here's another one. What happens if you view somebody else's future and you get to watch them die? Watching more than one person die in that type of instance is going to be far more traumatic than knowing you're going to die in 10 minutes. And there's nothing you can do about it. On top of that, there would be almost like a relief of knowing that there's absolutely nothing you can do. At that point in time, you've got 10 minutes of true freedom. You can do whatever the fuck you want because it doesn't matter. You're never gonna get caught, you're never gonna be punished, you're never gonna have to deal with the consequences of your actions because 9.5 minutes from now, it's over. It's done.
Yeah.
But I will also say that if you can see other people's deaths, you could potentially prevent the death of friends and family, but I'm an antisocial motherfucker, I don't care.
Oh well, that's where we differ. I think we're done.
Yeah?
I'll get all the points I can.
That was an amazing debate. Okay, DJ, in between shooting each other with grenade launchers, we do have to actually decide.
Well,
okay. That was a lot more intense than all of our other debates. You two are amazing contenders. I have had to keep track using notes. Alright. So, point number 1. Comedy. Kush gets like a quarter of a point. Like, I'm not giving you the point because of that. I haven't actually decided who I'm giving the point to yet. I'm just mentioning the comedy is a good thing. There really wasn't much comedy in it. It felt super serious. I love how passionate both of you were about it. Okay,
come on now. Going into the woman's change room, that was comedy gold. Like.
Okay, okay. Yeah, that was the comical aspect I was discussing. Now,
And then yeah, I got super
change room from
something I'm going to mention before my adjudication, okay, is that neither of you did get this 1 point. Le Bruges, you got very close. You got so close to mentioning this that it actually made me lean forward on my chair, but you didn't. No one's actually discussed the point or questioned whether or not you can actually change the next 10 minutes.
Well, if you can see into the future, and you know what the future is, as long as it's something that's avoidable, you would be able to change the future. I mean,
you may not be able to change someone else's
if we
future.
talk about theoretical physics, and yet the most accepted form of theoretical physics, there is a multiverse theory. Every action has an opposite action, and, you know, very different timelines and blah blah blah.
But those actions do not necessarily knock you into another timeline, and that's something we need to keep in mind. Like,
but
you may
if
be able to
your
see a friend
timeline
die,
is the one where you can see other timelines and they coincide with yours, and you do something different, you create a divergent timeline. But if you are still in the fucking in the moment, and everything is 10 minutes ahead of you, then you are the principal point of divergence.
Alright.
And not only that, but you have the chance to control the divergence.
Minus 10 points to Kush for going against the adjudicator. LeBrug wins. No jokes. Okay, LeBrug, you accepted there were cons. Both of you covered cons. What I particularly enjoyed, LeBrug mentioned when I wasn't there. Like, knowing about the things that will happen in 10 minutes when you're not there. That was a really good point. And then Kush mentioned not wanting to know what was said 10 minutes later, or what happens 10 minutes later. That's another very good point. And my favourite thing about Kush's future was, like, he went really in depth about how you could utilise it in video games, like knowing somebody's strategy in StarCraft, for example.
Granted, it's much more for, like, personal game, but I feel like
Yeah.
you could use the future seeing for your own personal game.
You did a lot of personal game. That was a general theme of
To be
yours.
fair,
like, I could
while
steal
LeBron
stuff,
didn't fucking
show
point
up.
it out, if he really wanted to, he could try and target people that kind of influence the stock market, like Martha Stewart.
Another point that struck me
Kind of
really
play the stocks
hard.
that way.
Another point that struck me really hard was the palm reading point that LeBrug made. So being able to see other people's futures, we're not buying into the entire idea that palm reading isn't an official way of seeing into a future. Granted, there may be something there. Granted, I don't know. Granted, I'm probably clueless. However, seeing your future through other people's futures would be scary. Or could be scary. Could be very scary, sorry. It's a really
It could
tough
be disheartening
decision.
too if you used it in the wrong way. Like if you look into your friend's future and they're talking shit about you and...
Well, you could counter those points before they even make them, which, yeah.
If you knew they were
Well, I
gonna
mean, if somebody doesn't like you, they don't like you. Like,
More ability to affect your future was a point Kush made, so you can definitely affect your own future more by knowing what happens in your future, as opposed to knowing what happens in other people's futures. So, at this point I'm keeping my vote secret, but I actually kind of want to hear what DJ's got to say. Apart from, oh fuck, I set off another alarm.
or don't die, Pendle Pants.
I haven't died once.
Well, there was a lot of arguments going back and forth, and I think somebody in 20 years' time will probably be writing their university thesis on both your arguments. However, putting that aside, firstly, my own personal view on the topic, I think 10 minutes. This is no reflection on you, Commander, but I think 10 minutes is way too short. I don't really
Yeah,
see much
but it was the
advantage for
question. It was the question. It was a would you rather question. What is going on? Why am I picking up every item in the game?
that. I don't know, but
My game's glitched.
yeah, sorry. Yes, as I was saying, can sort of see both points of view. There are some advantages in knowing it's going to happen 10 minutes in advance, but I can also see how that could also be quite annoying. Now knowing what somebody else is going to see 10 minutes in advance, I suppose it depends on who that person is. So, because just the general members of the public, that would be pretty boring. But if you're going to, for example, see through someone else's eyes in the next 10 minutes, something that they're going to do, like for example, I don't know, they're going to break the record on a Formula 1 racetrack, if that's what you like or whatever, I could sort of really see sort of the advantage of that, and how you could also turn that to your advantage for business purposes, and as Kush mentioned, for dating purposes as well.
I've dropped out, sorry, hang on, I'll be back.
Oh, that's okay. So
Keep
I
going.
think on this occasion, I'm going to, and I'm not trying to sit on the fence on this one, but I think both of you made very, very valid arguments, and on that basis, I'd actually call it a draw.
Oh dear.
Hear that, Pendle Pants? He dropped it all on you.
Not necessarily. He might decide the same thing. I think he went to go and fix something.
Yeah, he's got to be back in a sec.
Yeah, this connection's unstable because I've already lost my stream once, and now he's dropped out.
He hasn't dropped out of the party yet.
No, it's just his connection to the game by the looks of it.
Sorry guys, I have returned. Yeah. So, DJ, what's, have you made a decision?
He's going to call it a draw.
A draw?
Yeah, because I think they both made very valid arguments for either case.
They did. Unfortunately, I'm going to be a tiebreaker. And I have had to make this decision based on the most benign response possible. Because everything advanced was covered by everybody. I'm going with LeBrug for the palm reading point.
Thank you.
Someone shoot these bots!
So well argued to both contestants, but yeah. I'm giving LeBrug a point. DJ, you're giving them both a point?
Yes. Yes.
Alright. Okay, ladies and gents, that brings us to question 2. Remember that there's a total question of 5 questions now. And... I've chosen a new question. Alrighty. Would you rather... Actually, no, that one's too easy. No, sorry. Okay. Would you rather be famous when you are alive and forgotten when you die, or unknown when you are alive but famous after you die? So one more time. Would you rather be famous when you're alive and forgotten when you die, or unknown when you're alive but famous after you die? And your time starts pretty much about now.
Now, that is an excellent question. That is such an excellent question, Commander. Oh my goodness, I wish I was answering this one.
Feel free to pile on afterwards.
I'll have to put this in your email.
You were first last time, so it's me. Okay, it's me. Shit.
Do you want me to repeat the question one more time?
No. Oh, which one do I want? That's the question. Pros and cons either way. I think famous while alive.
Famous while alive? Okay.
Just raise your
And
heart
push.
out, darling, and I'll be down the
I'll
track
just
soon.
keep arguing the altar one.
Together we'll make magic.
Are you sure? You don't have to. Remember, whoever just argues the same point better wins.
I don't mind. I prefer having a proper good fucking debate argument thing. And it's not really a debate when you're saying similar shit.
Okay.
One can make better points, but I may as well just stick with the opposite.
Alright, Push, you went first last time, so LeBrug, your debate, please.
Okay. Well, the idea of being famous while alive, I think the most important aspect about that is that you can enjoy it while you're alive. You know, you can make the most out of it if you're being philanthropic, if you're being sort of returning back to the community in some way, shape or form. You can't do that when you're dead, unless of course you've got some sort of legacy that you pass on. But then you wouldn't know if it's being managed correctly, you wouldn't know if it's been actually followed through, if anyone gives a shit.
America. As soon as you said that, I was like, Founding Fathers. Damn.
Yeah, but they don't know about it, do they? They wouldn't know about it. And for me, I think not being able to be aware of the impact that you're having, and as in the case of the founding forefathers, I'm pretty sure they're rolling in their grave at the very moment because of what's happening in America at this point in time. I don't think I'd want to be that guy. I'd like to know that it was being done right, and if I wasn't being done right, I could fucking well get in there and get them a fucking smack around the chops and say, do your fucking job right. So I'd rather be famous in the moment.
Fair enough. You can get a lot of pussy without, I will say that, but that's up to Kush to debate, technically.
Yeah.
Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
Don't forget, you can go back and forth a bit as well.
Oh yeah.
I'll wait till
I just didn't want to cut him off or anything. Okay, so I would rather be famous after dead. And I'm gonna debate this part just for the sake of it, but like... fan base is gonna be. That's why I'm okay when I lose a couple of subs here and there, because it's just filtering out the smaller ones, you know what I mean? That's why I don't do the sub for sub thing, because I would much rather have people that I can talk to and have a fucking conversation with. And don't get me wrong, celebrities have it good in a lot of respects, but they have to deal with a ton of bullshit. On top of that, me being an antisocial prick, having the views that I do and having such strong views that many people would classify as potentially radical, means that I'd constantly be in the limelight, but not the good way, like the Charlie Sheen way. You know what I mean? So I would much rather be in the limelight after I'm dead, plus being under the radar has major advantages. People will underestimate you, people won't expect as much from you, and that means that when you do something fantastic, they are even more blown away by what you can do. You know what I mean? Like, Will Smith does a good job acting. Does anybody even fucking notice anymore? No, because he does it all the goddamn time. The other celebrities, it's the same kind of deal. Like, Neil deGrasse Tyson and Stephen Hawking are probably the most famous scientists, but they're nowhere near as famous as they used to be, because it's not about the interest level, it's you have to have entertainment value. And I get having entertainment value to bring in people, but yeah, I'm just like, there's so many people that I wouldn't want to associate with being famous, and especially if we consider today's day and age. I would not want to associate with the royal family. I would not want to associate with the Rothschilds, or the Rockefellers, or any of those fucking pricks. I would not want, like, and the big thing is, too, is the more famous you are, the more attention of theirs you grab. The more that they might want to control your fame and be able to use it to their own advantage. Then you bring in the fact that being famous like, granted that it wasn't really specifically worded in the question, but fame is a fickle thing. You might be famous your whole life, but you might be famous for the wrong thing. You know, Hitler's been famous, well, he was famous during his lifetime. Was he famous for the right thing? You know what I mean? Like, there's lots of people that have been famous for the wrong fucking reason. And I would rather have, like, a notorious streak that gets recognized afterwards, especially by people later on who are smarter and shit like that, and they go, you know what? This guy had some shit right. I mean, perfect example, Leonardo da Vinci. Totally unappreciated when he was alive. But now that he's dead and we understand his fucking genius, holy shit do we respect that guy. I mean, fuck, the guy literally wrote upside down and backwards to hide his plan so that he wasn't notorious. Well, that too, but, I mean, I'm not fucking taking any of that into account. It was cool that he was in there, but Leonardo da Vinci is a perfect example of why I would much rather be famous after the fact. On top of that, you don't have to deal with people trying to tarnish your name or tarnish what you did or anything like that, because you're dead. What do you fucking care? Now, I understand if you're rolling in your grave, like, the Founding Fathers, if they were able to roll in their grave, would be nothing but dust by now, because they would have rolled into nothingness. They have been rolling for hundreds of years. Like, if anything, you hook those bitches up to a goddamn power station, you start powering the world off of how hard they're rolling.
Founding Fathers perpetual energy generator.
Exactly, the perpetual energy generator for that. But yeah, no, definitely would rather be famous after the fact for many, many reasons. And I've listed some of them. I probably have a couple more, but I'll give LeBrug a chance to counter-argue now.
Well, my counter-argument would be representatives such as Elon Musk, Richard Branson, and a handful of others who are, well, Tyson, of course, very famous in their lifetime, and they're making fundamental changes in the way that people view the world. How Elon Musk is changing the way governments look at the way they use energy. Richard Branson has changed the way corporations look at the way they do their business. And Tyson has changed the way that people look at science. And he can see that. He can see the changes he's making. All three of them can see exactly the impact they're having and realize the importance they are playing in the human race.
Okay, I have a counter-argument to that. Now remember, we are assuming that after being famous for your life, you fall into obscurity afterwards, right? So you have an impact in the 60 years or so that you're there and active, or maybe even call it 100. But after that, everything that you've accomplished falls into obscurity and becomes nothingness. I would rather be like Leonardo da Vinci, where, you know, you get looked over, but then more and more people understand your brilliance. More and more you become famous for the things that you could have accomplished, or the way that you have changed future people for thinking. You might still be able to impact society and progress a little bit, but I feel like if you're constantly in the limelight, like, another good one would be Tesla, although he hasn't been dead long. But he is going to be famous for a long fucking time, because he had some, like, just crazy good ideas for power that were blown under the table. And, you know, granted that sucks, but his invention will probably live on in people's minds and potentially be built hundreds of years from now, even if, like, if it takes that fucking long.
Here's the problem with the memories of people, though. Here's the problem with the memories of people. Recently, Winston Churchill has been remembered throughout history as being a very powerful, very strong military leader, even though he's come from a very, very mixed sort of background. But just recently, his heroic standard has been called into question because of the near genocidal impact he had on the Indian society when he deliberately redirected foodstuffs away from India, even though they're in the middle of a serious drought, serious famine, had them sent over elsewhere. Now, to be remembered as a person after you're dead, you run the risk of people abusing your memory and making you remembered falsely. Whereas if you can leave an impact on the structure and the way things work, I don't think that that's what gets forgotten. You get forgotten what you did not. The man who invented Wi-Fi, this Wi-Fi lying around, he will be forgotten.
Wi-Fi is a really new invention, though. Once Wi-Fi becomes obsoleted, everybody's going to forget about Wi-Fi and forget about the guy. Most scientific advancements will become obsolete in the future. And at that point in time, you will fall back into obscurity. I understand what you're saying in the event that you're progressing that advancement, but once again, I feel like Leonardo da Vinci is my best fucking example to pivot around. He has had way more of an impact on the world, the way the world thinks, and the way the world acts after his death, due to the fact that the people did not understand his ideas, and even like him dissecting human bodies to understand the anatomy of humans would have been looked at with disdain. He probably would have been hanged for what he was doing, which is why he had to keep it secret. But without his advancements, our medical understanding of the human body would not be where it is today. Granted, I understand that you can be turned into an asshole in history, but I would take that risk because I would rather have an impact over the longer term than the shorter term. I'm looking at the long-term picture more than the short-term. And yes, Neil deGrasse Tyson has advanced science drastically, and so has Stephen Hawking, but so did Christopher Columbus, or not Christopher Columbus, sorry, Galileo, that's the one I'm thinking of. But once again, he was another person who he actually did become famous because he voiced his opinions, and he was killed because of it. Later on, he became much more famous for his ideas being right.
You do present a good argument in terms of that regard, but for me, it comes down to the fact that poor old Da Vinci died thinking he was a useless failure. I don't want to go that way.
Alright, my last argument that I'll make is I don't have the greatest confidence in humanity right now. Perfect example, HARP. Grant, you can debate whether or not HARP exists. I'm going to assume for this argument that HARP does exist. That is a case where technology that is beneficial to the whole fucking world is frequently being used to fuck it over. I don't have confidence in humanity in its current form to take the type of ideas or technology that I could potentially provide and use it for the benefit of humankind instead of the self-preservation of the elitist pricks. I would rather be famous in a time period which I hope is better than current than be famous right now and then fall into obscurity when humans are actually decent fucking beings and trying to do good things.
But then wouldn't it be advantageous to actually be here and have a say in how your stuff gets used?
Once again, I have no faith in humanity.
Do you have faith in yourself?
I have faith in myself, but it doesn't mean anything when people have closed-minded views. I mean, Galileo had faith in himself. He had more than enough evidence to prove his claim, and he was still killed for his beliefs and opinions. And we haven't really gotten past that yet. Killing people for their beliefs, yes. Completely shutting them down and burying them under a mountain of shit, we still do that.
I will concede that point. Yes, we do. But the opportunity to change that and do it while you're alive, that is rewarding, to go to your grave knowing that you have made that difference for me. That would be everything.
Fair enough, and I mean, it comes down to the difference of opinions. With the
You just have to fucking do it.
One example that I've actually, you know, this point's really good. Like, people who die and then get famous, they're often seen as radical at the time, and then massive after their death. So, an example I'd like to bring up is Edgar Allan Poe. Okay, completely deranged from society. Yet after he died, he's being, you know, brought up by people like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and you know his detective stories. They're massive now, and he was a massive grounding point in literacy. So I absolutely agree with that point. I really appreciated your founding fathers rolling around till they turn into dust joke. You did jump onto the Leonardo da Vinci example a couple of times. I will have to say that as a criticism. You went back to him a lot of times. I feel like it was because you didn't have any other examples, or that you couldn't think of any others in the moment.
Another perfect example, if you really need it, is the guy who invented antibiotics. I don't even remember what his fucking name is. He basically fell into obscurity, but what he has done has lasted for fucking lifetimes.
And
so that's
causing
kind of
us
a
a lot
point
of
that I can
grief.
make on fucking LeBrug's.
And causing us a lot of grief, because people abusing antibiotics has caused, you know, massive things. Anyway, we won't go over that point now, because we can turn that into a whole nother debate. Now, those are my opinions thus far. The other thing, being famous for the wrong thing, or people, you know, bending opinions, that was another excellent point that you both actually pointed out at some stage. Now, DJ, I want to hear what you think about this. I have decided on a winner. I'll let you know now. So I'm definitely not a draw.
Okay, well, neither am I, because I've weighed up the arguments on both sides. Now, personally, I must say, just as a off-the-cuff remark, that I think that the Bright and Push, I think you're both wasting your time playing video games. You should both take up posts in university as professors. That's my first point. Now...
Do you know how long our classes would go?
Yeah.
Nighttime classes, guys, nighttime.
And how much smoke would have to
By the time we're done, yep.
Afterwards. But anyway, excuse me, but adjudicators talking if you don't mind. Anyway, so I've weighed up all the options, and in a sense, both of you gentlemen have actually made an argument that is not dissimilar to the story that was written about 1200 years before the birth of Christ, and it was called the Trojan War. And so you're probably familiar with the story of Achilles. So Achilles was dipped into the river Styx by his mother to make him invincible, but because she held him by the ankle, that's why his Achilles heel was vulnerable. That was the only part of him that wasn't protected. But when Achilles was a young man, he was basically asked by his mother, what sort of life do you want to lead? Do you want to lead a long, healthy life but be forgotten after a couple of generations?
Wonderful, Ajay.
Or would you prefer to have a very short, fantastic life and you'll be remembered for all time?
Without their trucks.
And obviously we know what choice he made. He chose the latter. So I do think though that choice does depend on your own personal point of opinion as well, and what you value and don't value in life. Because, for example, if you don't believe in an afterlife, well, then you're not really going to give a damn about what anyone thinks afterwards, right? Once you're gone. But on the balance of probabilities, on the balance of the arguments, and we weigh them up, and based on my, 48 years of knowledge and experience in intellectual research or whatever, I'm going to have to give it to LeBron because I can't ignore the pussy argument. I'm sorry, but I want to be famous now, so I can exploit that. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. And that won me the argument. You bribed me with the bag of gold that was needed. So, and as much as I respect some of Bush's arguments, I'm sorry, LeBron, but I'm going to have to give the points to you.
So you've gone for a comical adjudication. That's so fucking typical.
Now, I have a question for you, DJ. I have a question for you.
No way.
And it's in the same...
You can't pick on me. I'm not in the debate.
I'm not picking on you. I'm just asking you a simple question, okay? Ron Jeremy is probably one of the most famous porn stars, alright? Now, take out his fame. Would you rather, as Ron James, be remembered in this time period as being the best fucking sex object? Or would you rather fuck a whole bunch of chicks and be remembered for generations as the best sex that anybody has ever had? And be that high set standard that nobody can beat for hundreds of years? It kind of like not the fucking Indian, the Indian fucking sex book thing, you know what I mean? Totally not that popular when it came out. That's the one, Kama Sutra. I didn't want to say Quran because I knew that was wrong. But whoever wrote that book is famous for generations for knowing what the fuck he was doing and teaching everybody else.
Kush doth protest too much, methinks.
Kush doth protest too much. Well, look, I'm going to be a salvage here. Kush, I was actually going to give you my point. I have decided against that now. Nah, jokes. Nah, my point's going to Kush for this one. He had such a difficult point, and he made some excellent goes at it.
I still want to hear TJ's answer to that question.
Like, it was almost a 50-50. I'm going to ignore you here for a second, Kush. It was almost a 50-50 the entire way through until Kush caught out LeBrug on the not taking into account that you're going to be forgotten bit at the end. Like, I know LeBrug was obviously intentionally avoiding bringing that up as part of his debate, but had you defended it in your argument, I would have actually given you the point. Not at that point in the argument.
I want to be remembered, because my memory would be abused.
Regardless, I'm still giving it. Because I'm being an asshole. Right, moving on. We need a new question. Okay, so I'm going to go for something that's less debatable. I know you two are still going to make a debate out of it, but I'm hoping to reduce the time of this question. Okay, gentlemen, question number 3. Oh, I can't believe I'm asking this.
This is another fucking Stegosaurus one. I can feel it now.
No, it's not. It's actually much more... No, it's much more Stego Dick. Okay. Look, I'll just go for it. After DJ's finished discovering all of the locations in his streaming, we can actually hear the podcast again. I don't know why, but every time you guys debate, he starts flying a helicopter so no one can hear shit.
I stopped flying helicopters.
Good. Yeah, by crashing it. Anyway, alright, gentlemen, here is your question. Would you rather your shirts be always 2 sizes too big, or 1 size too small? That question again is, would you rather your shirts are always 2 sizes too big, or 1 size too small? And your time to think starts now.
Episode of Seinfeld or The Simpsons. I think we're doing this what we should for that question.
How are you doing, Ajay? This is AJ, reporting for duty.
Oh, Ajay, perfect. We have a shipment of weather balloons to deliver to our comrades in the mountains.
Alright, gentlemen, your answers, please. I believe LeBrug started last time, so Kush, it is you.
Alright. Just say the question again so I have the proper phrasing in my head.
Alright, would you like me to reword it so it's a bit easier to understand? Because this is written terribly.
No.
So would you rather your shirts are... would you rather constantly wear shirts that are 2 sizes too big or 1 size too small?
Alright, definitely the 2 sizes too big. I wear baggy clothes all the fucking time. That's just how I rule, and there are so many goddamn reasons for it. First off, I've been in weddings. I fucking despise suits. I don't know why the fuck people cannot make a suit that doesn't constrict your goddamn movements. I fucking hate it. If I can't cross my arms, if I can't lean back and stretch and yawn without feeling that I'm going to tear something, I have major issues. And we're talking all clothing or just shirts?
All clothing. Rather your shirts be always 2 sizes.
Okay.
Shirts.
Sorry.
Yeah, so, once again, fucking shirts, hugely better to have them wider. You can breathe more. Generally speaking, if you're in a hotter climate, having that extra breathable layer will keep you insulated from the heat and the cold, depending on what you have. You want to bundle up in, you know, floppy, big air barrier fucking layers to try and keep that insulation pocket. Not only that, but you can hide a lot of shit with baggy clothing. You can't hide shit with smaller clothing. If you got a beer belly, that's gonna show. If you got a 6-pack, that's gonna show too, but at the same point in time, I see people walk around in shirts that are too small, and to me, they're self-involved assholes that need everybody to see that they can grate cheese on their fucking chest, because that's all they do for 8 hours a fucking day, and they need somebody to give them a pat on the back for it. Granted, not everybody's like that. Some people just like to be fit and shit like that. I totally understand that. But for my own personal comfort level, I'd much rather be able to move around, breathe, keep that heat or cold off of me if I really need to with the extra layer of insulating pocket. And, you know, if you get into a fight, and you get into a fight with a guy with tight clothes, you know what he's packing. You know what like, you can't tell exactly what his strength is just based on his muscle mass, but you can make judgments that way. If somebody tries to fight you and you're in very baggy clothing, they don't know what's under that. And 2 sizes too big, that's going to be pretty baggy. They're not going to know how big your arms are, they're not going to know how big your body is, they're not going to know any of that shit. Next thing I will raise, for the comedy point, I'm sure DJ will appreciate this, how are you supposed to tuck your dick into your fucking waistband and not have everybody see it? You know, you can't hide anything when it's like when it's a size too short. And granted, well, if your dick is big enough, it pokes up the top of your waistband. So, I'm going off of my own personal experience here. So, but yeah, I mean, I didn't really... To be fair, though, if you have super tight clothing and you've got a boner and you can't even tuck it to your waistband, they're still going to see that, too. Even if you got baggy shorts, you know... You walk into a room with a whole bunch of naked ladies and he's not having a reaction. Either he's gay or he's small. I don't have a problem with either, I'm just saying judgments can be made based on that. You will also be judged in public and in society frequently based on your clothing decisions. I'm not gay, I don't give a fuck if people are gay, but I don't really want to be referred to as a homosexual. You know what I mean? That's not who I am. I'm fine with them being like that, but wearing skin-tight clothing is much more indicative of the homosexual brand of things. You know what I mean? Like, homosexuals are frequently associated with tight clothes, and I'm okay with being associated with homosexuals, but I don't want to be considered one. And unfortunately, how you dress in society very hugely affects how people respond to you. That being said, baggy clothing can generally be looked at as like a hood gangster thing, but I've also lived the hood life, and I don't really have any problems with that.
Or a lesbian thing, I will put that out there.
The baggy clothes is a lesbian thing? Not here.
It is.
Oh god. Oh god, man. Here it's prison rules. Here it's real prison rules with the lesbians. What you want, you ain't getting, and what you're getting, you ain't wanting. You got these big, butch, ugly bitches with fucking, you know, beards and shit like that, wearing skin-tight tube tops and having their 200-pound fucking belly hanging out looking like they're half prego. So that's just a cultural difference.
Yummy.
Right?
Let gravity do the work for you.
Goodbye, all of our female viewers, not jokes. Oh shit. Oh dude. I feel like
so
I didn't
standing in the airport. Alright, Brug.
Well, let's put it this way. I don't see there's many pros for wearing a tight shirt. I can't can't see any. I can't see any pros. I cannot see a single pro. But there's one pro to wearing a baggy shirt, which I think Kush completely missed. The ability to have it tailored. You can't go up a size, but you can go down a size with a good seamstress.
Jump on.
So, what would you rather
With
work
a good
with?
seamstress, you could go up a size. They just have to sew in more fabric and make it blend.
You know, that would cost you more.
But it's still possible.
Yeah, but nah. But to be absolutely honest, I'm going to say that Kush is actually pretty much laid out most of the arguments I was going to use, plus a few extras. He missed the seamstress, the haberdashery kind of aspect. But yeah, cooler in the summer, much more versatile, and trust me, if you wear a baggy shirt with the buttons about 3 down from the top, it looks a hell of a lot cooler than if you try and do the same thing with a tight shirt. Trust me.
You're right. I will say the one major thing that I've noticed with having baggy clothes that sucks is it frequently gets caught on shit.
Oh, not if you tuck it in right. If you tuck it in right, it actually can be quite cool. It actually has a very old
I don't tuck it in.
period. Period
Are
piece
you
type
sure?
charm to it.
I tuck it up.
But yeah, baggy
Old-style
was
charm.
actually... baggy used to be a fashion trend, particularly in period pieces. You know, the Pride and Prejudice period in the 1800s was the baggy clothes was actually a bit of a fashion trend. And it still can be made quite fashionable. In fact, a lot of our Australian goths are very fashionable with, you know, baggy white fluffy clothing, that frills and stuff that hang out of it, black jackets and stuff. It can be made to look very, 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 very appealing, very flashy, and let's face it, I like the idea of carrying around a sword. I love doing sword play. I do sword play for theatre, and wearing a baggy shirt with a neat, nice sword at your side makes you look like a fucking swashbuckler, and that has got to be a win.
Wow. I never thought this debate would take a turn like that. Oh, are you both done?
I'm done.
Oh, actually,
Pretty
I will
much.
raise one more point that I kind of counter with LeBrook. I find that if you tuck if you have a really baggy shirt, like 2 times too big, and you tuck it in, you've got so much extra fabric like hanging around. You got this big fucking band around your waist, basically. It looks like you have an innie belt. That's like my personal preference. I don't tuck my big floppy shirts in for that reason. And I've looked at myself in a mirror with my shirts tucked in, and some of my shirts are a little over 2 times the size. I look fucking retarded. On the bright side, you're right. Like, having a sword by your side and, you know, having, like, the pirate-style floppy clothes make you look good. But I will also say, Pendle Pants, you should save this question, and we should do the same thing if we can find a female and/or 2 female contestants, because it would be much more interesting to hear their side of things. Guys generally aren't about the skin-tight clothes unless you're Justin Bieber or the Jonas Sisters. But a chick would be a little bit of a different story. I feel like, especially for a chick, because chicks have much more of a preference based on the baggy versus the tight clothing. There's way more variety of chicks out there that have that wide range of what they like. So I think that's definitely a question that would be better for females.
Who would actually be perfect for the next to do that with, actually. So I'll look into getting them on board for a night.
Even like your wife and her girlfriend or something, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Okay, I'll take that point onto account. DJ, I think I've always been going first with the adjudications. I'm going to let you go first here, because I'm having trouble deciding how to judge LeBrug at this point, because I can't just make the assumption that LeBrug would have made all of the same points.
No, you can't.
However, you've raised some extra ones, so I need a bit of time to think. DJ.
Well, the thing is, right, so you're both saying that you would prefer clothing 2 sizes too big to 1 size too small, so you both agreeing with each other that pretty much?
Yep.
For different reasons, but yes.
Well, then in that case, if that's the way you both feel about it, then I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to give you both a big fat 0. You know why? Because I'm a Mediterranean, and I tend to wear my shirts and t-shirts a size smaller than I actually am, because it actually looks more attractive, and women like that. They want to see something nice and tight and slim and streamlined and all that. I cannot believe that you guys reckon that just because you wear one size too small that you love yourself or whatever. It's not about that. It's just about looking good, man.
Here's my counter to that. Here's the counter to that. I won't suffer uncomfortability for anybody. My comfort is my comfort, and that's fucking done.
Yeah, but that's in your,
How many buttons do you lose, DJ? How many buttons do you lose?
It depends on how the day goes at the end of the night. I don't know why you're laughing, because I'm being serious. I've been attacked on a couple of occasions.
What, because you were wearing a shirt that was too tight?
I have literally had a t-shirt once ripped in half, and another time when she ripped the shirt open, the rest of the buttons popped out, right? And as a general rule, they didn't pop out because I'm a slim person anyway, not because I've got a slim body. I can afford to wear slim clothing because I don't have a big hip or big shoulders or whatever, you know, so maybe I can get away with it a little bit.
To be fair, the question wasn't skin-tight clothing, it was one size too small.
One size too small, for me, is skin-tight.
AKA, he goes to the children's section in Kmart. Sorry, I couldn't resist.
He likes those button-up flame shirts from the fucking 90s.
Thing is, you're copping a lot of flack now, DJ, but you totally deserve it for giving them both a 0. I think that you're keeping your professionalism aside in exchange for arguing your own point and beliefs here.
Yeah, but someone has to be the comic relief.
-1 point to DJ.
But I just couldn't believe it.
No, I like
Is it anyways?
like
The game where there's
that you brought it
points
up.
and they don't fucking matter.
Yeah, but hang
No,
on.
I like that you brought it up, actually. I'm just joking,
No,
DJ.
but hang on a minute. Both of them completely bagged out people that wear one size too small.
No,
And
we didn't. I didn't.
And I was sitting here just feeling so confused and not knowing what to say that, you know...
I'm so sorry, dude.
You also have to understand that I did reference the point. Mediterranean is different than Canada. Tight clothing here is much more associated with the homosexual group of people. In the Mediterranean, it might be completely different, and I totally understand that. But as I stated earlier, I'm not about to make myself feel uncomfortable just to quote-unquote look good. I'm not a female, I'm not gonna gussy up with makeup that burns my goddamn eyes or anything. If a chick is interested in me, she's going to be interested in me, not my body. And I would much rather find a chick that way.
Sorry. I don't know if anyone saw that, but I just took a helicopter down with a mortar.
Yeah.
That being said, though, I mean, if you're going out in the tight clothing and you're just having one-night stands, you don't give a shit what the chick thinks anyway, so I understand where your perspective is on that.
I'd like to point out, DJ, just one thing. You said you both bagged out people who wear tight shirts, and I never, personally, I never bagged anyone for wearing tight shirts. I just said there was no pros from my point of view. Just to make that clear.
Alright.
Yeah, and like, same thing from my opinion. I don't like not being able to move my arms. If I get into a fight and I can't fucking swing because I'm gonna rip everything attached to me, it becomes a hindrance. And yeah, I hate feeling constricted.
In the Australian summer, you don't want to feel constricted.
But I will
be
say,
honest,
that is a
DJ,
big cultural difference, though, too. I mean...
I think you would have just done better without a shirt on.
Yeah, I think so.
Especially in Australia. Not in the Mediterranean, granted, people have a sense of fashion there. Okay. But yeah.
Oh, it's just that I've tried wearing t-shirts that are size too bigger than me, and it gives me the shits because I feel like I'm walking around wrapped in a blanket. It just gives me the shits. That's why I
See, DJ should have been debating this point. DJ should have been debating this, because he would have actually given us a good argument.
I used to get the shits in the long run, right? Because when I was younger, she'd always buy me a size bigger, and then she goes, "Are you going to grow into it?"
Because you'll grow into it, and then they always buy you new stuff before you do, right? That used to happen to me as well.
But that's a load of crap because it's the same with suits, right? I used to have a suit in my mid-20s that was the size too big for me, right? And it's been like that the whole way through. When I wear that suit, people also compared to the other suits that I wear that are tight on my body. This is the way it is.
Well, like I said, though, it comes down to personal preference. As I've said, I am not willing to make myself feel uncomfortable for everybody else's benefit. As far as I'm concerned, everybody else can go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm like, I've got my own personal preference and my antisocial tendencies come into things.
Okay, I'm going to deliver my adjudication.
Well, hang on a sec before you finish, man. Well, I've sort of, like, now that you guys have, like, made some further points, I've been reflecting on my earlier decision, and I've decided to stick with it. 0. I love it.
Yeah, DJ does love it. The cock, that is.
You're a son of a bitch. I was drinking a glass of water when you said that. You prick.
And I bet you were wearing a tight shirt too.
Who's this?
Okay. Pendleton, adjudication,
Just one
please.
places we could want to go.
I teleported DJ to the bottom of his stream.
What the hell? What am I doing
Sorry,
here?
I was expecting me to get teleported back to you, but I've just teleported you into a ditch, literally. Like, we're nowhere near where we were. Oh, that's
When
great.
you look around, well, mistakes were made.
I'm floating here next to a lily pad and watching DJ's head bob up and down in the water going, yep, that was a good landing. Okay. So look, LeBron was really limited on this one, but with the actually DJ's expansion and getting you guys to argue again against that point did actually help a bit. Okay, so first thing, Kush, you made an excellent point about, wearing a suit, it restricting your movement, etc. The thing I want to mention is you may be wearing the button-up shirt underneath that's 2 sizes larger, but your jacket's still going to be presentable. So that point is actually a minus point. However, everything after that was a plus point. Bodybuilders versus comfort. You gave credibility to people who wear tighter shirts for a reason, such as DJ. You've got you feel cooler in hot climates because of the bagginess, the airiness, etc. And you've also pointed out that in the cold, if you tuck it in the right way, this is also something LeBron covered, that it does insulate you. Now, your comical point, dick tucking, was probably the biggest plus, because I've had to... I mean... Our school uniform was baggy shirts, and I can tell you it is more... You're able to do it better. That's like the only time I've ever had to do it, to hide it, but it was a very useful point in my life where I had a baggy shirt.
Especially at that age when you can't really control it. Oh, fuck.
Now, here's where it gets a bit interesting. So LeBron started talking about tucking it a certain way to look like a swashbuckler. Now, I completely agree. Swordplay looks fucking awesome. Fashionable adjustments was an excellent point, and better appearance. Now, that one's debatable because, as Kush mentioned, you're going to get judged in public. DJ, turn the radio off. Goodness sake.
Sorry.
Yeah, you are going to get judged in public, and the thing is, you guys did both kind of miss that by wearing baggy shirts, you could also be judged to be, affiliated with gangs and motorcycle clubs, or just as a slob, and that's something that didn't really come up with a baggy shirt.
I did say that I lived a hood life, and I don't mind being referred to as a hood individual.
I believe I made reference
but
to
I wouldn't
goths
refer to you as a baggy slob.
But I also think I referred to goths who wear baggy shirts for very, very decorative reasons.
Yes, you did.
The Goths destroyed the Roman Empire.
Based purely on the fact that I have to pick a winner because once again DJ has taken the neutral back door. Get it? Tight shirt, back door.
I've had it with you two, you three, that's it. I'm sick of tired of people questioning my ancient Mediterranean culture. Sick of it. Yeah, keep
I'm
going.
joking, DJ. Don't take it to heart.
Nah, you just always gang up on me. I'm sick of it.
Wait, I also say
I'm
that the
not
Romans
ganging
loved
up
their
on you.
togas.
It's not fair. Just like in the Second World War, we had to keep changing sides because everyone ganged up on us. It's
You
not
can
fair.
take a shot at me for some of my opinions.
Nah,
You just
that's
don't
fine.
take the
I'm just kidding,
opportunity.
I'm kidding.
All I gotta say to your Roman stuff is toga, toga, toga.
Well, this example of clothing that was actually
So baggy, wonderful accessories for clothing. Gotta say. And you look pretty badass as a Roman fucking emperor.
Oh, but the orgies, oh, they would be so exotically arranged. Oh.
LeBrug had a really hard time here. Kush, you went first.
Yeah.
I think
was
I'm going
glad
to
I
give it to
went first on this
LeBrug.
one.
I'm going to give it to LeBrug because there was one thing that you did, alright, where you actually lost it a bit. You were supposed to be defending baggy shirts, and then, right at the end of your debate, you turned around and talked about your innie belt, or whatever you called it. And you actually made it less of a credible idea to have the baggy shirt option.
No, I made it less of a credible idea to tuck in your baggy shirt. That was a counter to LeBrug saying that if you tuck it in, it works out really well.
Yes,
And
but
I
see,
personally
LeBrug was
find that
defending
it
baggy
does.
shirts after you were defending baggy shirts. So you kind of gave
I
him a
still
one-up on
defend
that
baggy
one.
shirts, I just don't defend putting it in my pants.
Yes,
At which
but
point
he
you're
gave
not
it a
really
pro.
bagging it up, you're trying to make it skin tight to your body.
At the end of the day, you gave a con to something related to the thing you were debating, and for that reason, I've given LeBrug literally like a 5% uppance. So he gets the point from me. If you feel that this has been unfair, you may talk to the other adjudicator, who, by the way, gave you both zeros.
Goddamn fence sitter.
Yeah, DJ, I don't know if we actually can do the whole zero thing. Nah, we'll let it go this time.
I think we should keep a rule in place for future.
Alright, my dog has entered the building. Okay, guys, we have 2 questions left to go in Would You Rather Royales. So, there is still an opportunity for both participants to win. Actually, it's pretty much... What have we got?
I should have considered the fence last time. I gave a point to...
There's 2 points, and the last
pussy.
question's always worth more, so at the end of the day, like, it's definitely still anyone's game. Alright.
But, you know, like I said, I like to keep it tight.
Now, this one's going to be...
Tight to your chest.
I'm worried that you guys are going to debate this one for too long, so we're going to take a quick intermission here while I settle my dog down, because he thinks I'm talking to myself and I'm crazy. And I'll be right back in about 2 minutes. Don't worry, I'll edit this time out later.
These eagles, man. They're pests.
Following is an announcement from the Ministry of Public Affairs and Social Harmony. Abandoning kidnappers is an unforgivable sin. Any Royal Army deserters will be shot. Anyone found harboring Royal Army deserters will also be shot. During this trying time, it is important to pay
These delivery jobs keep getting longer and longer. The job I'm doing is going to net me about 2-something million on a lead. It requires me to travel 300 light years.
300 or 3,000?
No, 300.
Okay.
But I haven't quite got to that point yet.
A lot
Alright,
of the
gentlemen.
passenger missions will pay like 12 million to go fucking 2,000 something fucking light years. It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah.
Have you settled your
When you
brain
click
engines?
on your mission and you scroll down, it'll tell you how long of a distance it is. Definitely pay attention to that shit.
Okay. So, gentlemen, your next question, question number 4 in Would You Rather Royale. Would you rather live in the wilderness far from civilization, or live on the streets of a city as a homeless person? One more time. Would you rather live in the wilderness far from civilization, or live on the streets of a city as a homeless person? And your time starts now. And here's DJ's favorite part. Alrighty, so I believe it's LeBrug first this time.
It's actually a very hard one to decide for me.
I think there's a lot of advantages in both.